Thank goodness you stayed with us for the second segment of UMass Yak Back. We have a new panel. We have Ben Shaw, Nick Spallucci, and Jess O'Hanley, and they're here to be our experts on a very sensitive topic. I understand Yale University has had some troubles with vandalism. Jess, can you explain this to me? I'm not quite sure what it's all about.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the kind of vandalism everyone's thinking, but apparently humans have reverted back to their primitive state where someone has been putting human feces in the dryers.
Like an ape.
Like an ape, yeah.
Oh.
Someone is, excuse my language, but someone is taking a shit in someone's laundry repeatedly.
That is one of the most vile things I've ever heard in my life. I know I've met several people, Ben, you're included, that our high schools had similar fecal vandalism.
Mm-hmm. Fecal
but
matters.
I've never heard of anything like this. Can you weigh in on it as someone who has been touched by this sort of thing before?
Well, yeah, as a very experienced person in the long history of crap-related incidents, I have some experience with this. So yeah, in my middle school, there was a person who was writing their name, actually the name of their lover, on the bathroom stalls with their feces. And they got a couple names. We called them the crap calligrapher, the feces phantom. Yeah. And honestly, it was middle school, so this was a very funny thing to us at the time. This wasn't really kind of a sick thing that you think about nowadays. And on the surface, it's kind of funny, honestly. Maybe I'm just a sicko, but...
True, it depends on the light you look at it.
Yeah.
I've been touched too. In 6th grade, my 6th grade hallway was pretty isolated from the rest of the school. I think it was so the 7th and 8th graders wouldn't torment us. So we had one bathroom and someone used to use a smearing method on the walls. Shut that down for a good week and a half. So I had to walk too far to go to the bathroom, and I can't hold it in as well, so I had some issues. But, so I guess the main issue is the laundry. It seems like the opposite of what you're trying to accomplish when you're putting your clothes in the laundry. Nick, how would you feel if you opened up a load and you found a load?
Well, I mean, for me personally, obviously the goal of washing your clothes is to get them clean, and I mean, when you open up that dryer and you see that it's dirtier than before, especially with something you don't want to touch, I think that it's probably one of the worst things ever, because then you don't even want to rewash it, because I mean, who wants to touch shit? I mean,
and it might happen again. You might have some PTSD.
Yeah, because and then the next time when you want to wash your clothes, you think before you open the dryer, you might be like, maybe the phantom feces person has struck again.
I didn't even think of that.
I don't want to check the dryer now.
He's psychologically
the
messing
long-term psychological
this guy is
trauma.
Somewhere in a dorm room in Yale, just nefariously planning on his next dookie.
Smart. He's smart.
I like to touch on the subject that we're all calling him a him.
It's true.
Everyone has just assumed that this person is a male, and being a female, I don't want to judge you guys by saying it's more likely a male, but
a femme fatale.
Yeah.
Poopetrator is what they're calling him.
Poopetrator. Oh, I don't like to think of that. That's one of those things we deny as males, that even exists, that's even a possibility.
I think that's why you guys all say he. You guys like to think that women don't poop, so the guy that's pooping in laundry has to be a guy.
Also, it's a form of an achievement, and as masculine beings, we want to take credit for it.
That's true.
But there's better things that this person could be doing. There's other stress-relieving activities. Where else could this guy be performing such actions? If he was, for instance, if he was the guy who climbed mountains and did it on top of mountains, at least he could be in shape and climbed a mountain. It seems like a little...
At least he'd be smearing in nature,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there are pretty much infinite options that he could be doing other than smearing crap on other people's property. But, scootering, maybe riding a bike, maybe reading a book. There's certain things that people do in normal life that I think could take the place of destroying someone's laundry with your
Exactly, yeah. This craft in America is doing way more harm than good. Why do you not take the energy? I feel like there must be so much anxiety that goes along with this, having to make sure. Well, that's what I'm thinking. Is this a one-man job? Because you would need a
Yeah.
lookout.
Oh, you need to look out because is he, one, just bare assing it, throwing his ass in the dryer and just shitting in the dryer? One, because that is
I
risky.
feel like it would
That
have
is
to be a
risky
washing machine
move.
because dryers are more vertical.
You think so? But I think
heard
he might
that
be able to
the-
get in there, maybe just like
Oh, yeah.
get in there somehow. But, or is he, like doing it beforehand and just, which is even weirder, I think, just carrying it around.
The transportation aspect
The
of the whole
transportation
thing.
aspect is a very
It's very interesting.
it's a fine
The
line.
logistics of the
The
whole
logistics of this shitting man is very interesting.
Jess, what did you have to say?
I was going to say that in one of the articles I was reading, they think that he's transporting it. They don't think that he's actually taking the time
They have
to
intel.
sit, read a newspaper while he's got his ass in the dryer and just take a shit right there. They think that he's doing it elsewhere and taking it and smearing it in there.
Yeah, I don't like to think like a criminal, but right now I'm just brainstorming potential ways to get
Oh, I'm in the mind.
subject A into location B. For instance, you could plant it in someone's stuff. Like if you have a roommate, a friend, put it in there while you're hanging out in their room. They do the work for you. If you had to do this, Nick? What's plan A for you?
Well, I'd never imagine myself doing this, but if I were, I would really make sure that nobody would know. I would be so paranoid as to check and see if there was cameras anywhere to make sure that there was absolutely no way anybody would see me. And I think probably the best way would be to transport it. And I mean, you just go in, make sure nobody's in there, make sure nobody's in the halls or whatnot. Then you just find a fine dryer that's in use, open it up, do the dirty deed, and then leave.
You also wouldn't, because you have to consider DNA evidence. Would you use yours or an unsuspecting someone who didn't have the? Maybe that's what he's doing. He's trying to frame people who don't have the decency to
Well,
flush
here's the
after
thing.
themselves.
How is he getting it from other people?
Public restrooms. Some people don't want to.
Some
They
people
don't want to touch
flush.
it. Yeah, that's yeah.
I've always been baffled by those types of people.
So he might
What are they
be a
doing?
crusade. He might be on a crusade for decency.
Yeah, maybe this has a moral backdrop to it. Maybe we're not looking at it the right way. Maybe this guy is,
That's true.
the shit prophet of our generation. Who knows?
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Now people are gonna say like, oh, I gotta flush this. I cannot risk this getting into the wrong hands.
Yeah.
The Poopetrator is actually the good guy in this then.
Yeah.
He's cleaning up our city.
So, segment number 2 dealt with a lot of number 2. I think it's time for us to move on to segment 3, which is less humiliating than getting your clothes smeared with shit, but it's a little bit more embarrassing in the context of your social lives. I don't know if you guys are going to be any of the targets, but we're going to talk about some terribly humiliating photographs. Segment 3, UMass Yak Back, is coming right up. Thank you very much.